How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael Thurville, photojournalist and sociologist here at VEDA World News. We have yet another, returning guest.
Yes.
Carmen, please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Carmen Maria Montiel, and I'm running for Texas Congressional District 38 to represent you in Congress.
Now, just for the viewers, you were previously running for District 18.
Yes.
What happened?
Redistricting.
Okay.
Redistricting happened while I was running, as you know, and actually I was very involved. I went to testify twice. About the issue. For me, the motivation of my when I first intervened, the legislature came to Houston, and I said I was for it because I believe the reality of the demographics in Houston are not represented in the district. And we need, as you know, the Latinos are 45+% of Houston and Harris County, and we are underrepresented. And District 18, as it still is, switched to 45% Latino, mostly Latino, and then it was around 30-something Black, and then 70% white, 3% Asian. That's what I ran in that district in 2022, counting on the Latino vote, but that's a story for another day when we decided to talk about those issues, because there are many issues there. And then when the seat was vacant, I said, this is the opportunity to finally flip it for the Latinos. And as you know, not only that, I got a lot of support from the Black community.
Of course.
Yes, and they were looking forward for a change. And
I'm going to interject here, and I'm going to say the Black Americans have been looking for a change. They're looking for a break from the norm. More specifically, Black men are looking for a break from the norm, especially a break from the Democratic Party. A lot of people won't say that, but that's just truly what it is. Now, how did Latinos become neglected when Texas holds a huge population of Latino voters in this state?
So when they redistricted, so my first intervention, I said, I'm all for it. Please make it more a representation of the reality of the demographics of the city and the county. When I saw the maps, it really did not do us a favor. And actually, District 18 was completely changed, not only in shape, but demographically. It got over 50% Black, but it's not only the African Americans, because now that district, which now we know with the ruling today that that's going to happen, went down south all the way to Fort Bend. That include other type of backgrounds within the Black community. It's not the general African Americans, the people we all know from the east side of the district, and and Midtown and all of that. So on my second intervention, I said, when I saw the maps, I said, I don't agree with the maps for two reasons. One, it's not represented, the demographics of the area. Two, still leaving all major cities in Texas in the hands of the Democrats. So if you think that by adding 5 Republican chairs or districts to the state is going to save you for going blue, no, as long as the cities are blue, they will do to Texas what they did to California. So those were my two issues. Still, the maps as they were passed, and today a judge ruled that it was not like that. Of course, there's going to be an appeal, but do we have time for that? When the deadline...
That is a very good question. Do Republicans have time
for that? Because the deadline to, I don't know the legality, but the deadline to file officially to run for those districts is December 8th.
So you're looking at maybe 2 weeks tops.
Exactly. And there is some people, a lot of people have filed FEC, but many people have not filed state, which is what makes you, puts you in the ballot.
Yes.
So and here we have the other thing that is happening now is now California went ahead and put in the ballot on November 4th that we have elections. It was the day of the special election for Haiti, that they, really nullify the 5 extra Republican seats because he went ahead and put 5 extra Democratic seats. So now, if the 5 extra seats that were put in Texas are not going to go forward, but the 5 extra seats that were put in California are going to go forward, we have a problem.
So let me ask you a question. What is the Republican Party's plan of action? How do you guys plan on countering the new ruling in California right here in Texas?
I imagine the first thing is going to be to appeal. The question is timing.
Okay.
That's the legality.
Do you think they'll be able to fast track that appeal?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It all just happened. So this is being like they just pour a bucket of cold water on us today. So everybody's being running like chickens without heads. I would say. Because many people is like now many people, for example, a lot of people filed for District 9 when it switched.
And that's going to be in the new 18th Congressional District as well. It's going to be combined. That's Al Green's district.
No, the way that's Al Green's district. If it goes back to the original thing, then it's it's okay. Al Green filed to run for 18. This is such a mess. And because now Al Green district is going to be in the 18th, and then the new 9th goes east and became Republican. Okay. And a bunch of people filed for that. And if it stays as originally, all these people who filed to run in the District 9, they're going to be now running in the original, which is mostly, the South part, Pearland, Sunnyside, all of that.
Yes.
So, God, it's that's what I'm telling you. God knows what's going to happen.
Okay. In the midst of all of this confusion, how should voters react? What should they expect?
Well, this is, it's get educated. And it doesn't matter if it is the confusion. I ask people, get educated and get involved in your elections. Elections matter because everything, and we have talked this about many times. People say, I don't care about politics. I don't want to do anything about politics. But the reality is that, politics runs your life.
It does.
So that's why you need to get involved, and you need to learn, and you need to research the people you're voting for.
I'm glad you brought that up because we just had Democratic candidate who's actually still running for the 18th Congressional District, Valencia Williams, here. She just left the studio.
Okay.
The question is, why aren't younger voters more engaged right here in Houston, Texas, and abroad around this country?
I think it's a lot of lack of education. They don't teach anything in school about, they stopped teaching civics. Let's start by that. That's so important. We need to put civics back into schools. And we need to teach ideology, because the biggest thing is if people are ignorant, of what ideology, which one is. So, and to say, well, this is my ideologies, this is who I am, because ideologies have a lot to do with the way you were raised and your beliefs. But since people don't have that, and then they're not informed, they think that politics is out of the reach. So we need to get civics back into school, and we need to teach children what does the left means and what does the right mean. And in my point, I like to tell you the truth, say, the left have killed millions of people historically. Just look at it. Have impoverished so many countries and people. Okay. And my country of birth is one of them, Venezuela. So, and people need to know that to make a decision and not be sold that, okay, socialism is good, and now this new social democrat deal. We dealt with the social democrats in Venezuela from the 50s until Hugo Chavez won.
How did it pan out for Venezuela for the socialist democratic movement? How did that work? What was the end? What did it look like?
Well, the two parties were socialist.
Okay.
But people didn't know because they were not teaching ideology. Many people today, I tell them, I say, hey, we had democracy in Venezuela, 40 bipartisan democracy of 40 years and the two parties were socialists, and people go, no. And I said, well, look at the names of the parties, and then when do your research, they both belong to the International Socialists.
Okay.
Like the Democrats do.
Okay.
Okay? And I always say, socialism and communism is the same thing. Socialism is the entry door. And it's the way to confuse people, and people think, oh, well, you just have to deal with social permanence. At the end of the day, they're just going to impose socialism.
Do you think that is the plan of the new mayor-elect of New York?
Oh, definitely. And he says he's a social democrat. So every time he says he's a social democrat, I laugh. And that's what I always tell you. I come from the future. Because I've seen this happening again. I can tell you how it's going to end if we don't make a drastic change.
No, I mean, for most people, being born in America and living in America, capitalism is second nature.
Yes.
But the question that some people have is communism necessarily that bad? Is socialism necessarily that bad? Most people just see it as a slightly different form or way of being, government-wise.
Well, let me tell you, like I said, the difference today,
Mm-hmm.
the difference between socialism and communism is that you just electing communism by election. That's what socialism is. You're just going to the polls and elect somebody that in reality is communism, because that's the entry door. Before, it used to be that communists just took over by, overturning governments. And they learned that doesn't work anymore, that they need to be elected. And they learned how to manipulate the elections. And then once they're in, they keep on manipulating elections to be there forever and ever.
Take the case of the newly elected New York mayor. He wants to reduce the child care where people can actually afford it. He wants to put caps on rental where, hey, why should anyone have to pay $2,000, $3,000 a month for a studio apartment?
Okay,
These sound like common sense measures, are they not?
Common sense. Have you checked how much the owners of those buildings pay in property taxes?
How much are they paying?
The thing is, I don't know exactly, but I know New York is very expensive.
It is very expensive.
Okay, so don't think only about the tenants.
Okay.
Think about the people that own the property and have to pay, maintain and pay the bills. So then you're going to force people into bankruptcy. That's the other thing. So then if you're going to do that, which is reasonable, you say, well, we're going to lower the rent. Then we need to lower the property taxes. Then we need to lower the water. And then we need to lower the electricity.
Is that necessarily a bad thing?
No, it is not. But that's not what he's proposing.
Okay, what exactly?
He's just proposing rent control.
Okay.
But we're going to still stick you with the property taxes, because that's what he said. They're not paying enough. They need to pay more property taxes. They need to pay more taxes. And you cannot strangle the people that provide housing, that provide jobs, because even the owners of the building are not only providing housing, but jobs. But if you force these people into bankruptcy, what's going to happen?
I think that's a very open-ended question. I think it's an appropriate question to ask.
And so it is proven that, yes, in words, it sounds pretty, because you just told me isn't that bad. But when you think about everything that you have to put together in order for this to work, which he's not proposing, he's proposing that rich people have to pay more taxes. So rich people means people that owns building, okay? And if you don't lower the property taxes, where everything that, are the expense of these builders' owners, you're just crashing the system. So you can not only think about one solution, you need to think about the whole solution.
Okay.
And that's the problem with socialism, because you sell it to the people, because, okay, you have one person owns the building, but how many people live in that building? Of course, they're going to vote for that. And there is people saying that they voted 6 times. There are videos there.
Why are people voting 6 times?
Election fraud.
Okay.
And this is something that Americans don't think is happening, but it's happening.
Okay, and that was something that the last guest talked about. She talked about right here in Houston, Texas, and Texas in general, of these voting farms, these voting harvesting or something like that, where people are paying people to vote, or they're doing the mail-in ballots.
The mail-in ballots, and they go to the retirement homes.
Okay. And she did say that.
And they're going to the retirement homes, and that's why District 18 is impossible to win.
It's impossible to win.
It's impossible to win District 18. It doesn't matter because they control the ballot by mail, and the other thing is early voting.
But who is
and that's
they?
That's what I'm against early voting, because that way they can measure how the voting is going and say, well, we need this many more votes. Who is
when
they?
When you say they, yeah, what do you mean by they? Who are they?
There is a crowd, that control the city and the county, and there is people that offer those services. And what happened is, it's a crime. Okay? It's a crime. You get caught doing it, and it's a crime. But
which businesses are offering these services?
They're not businesses.
Okay.
There are people that offer the service, because they have offered to me, and I said, no, that's
Really?
a crime. I'm like, hell no, that's a crime.
So they look to see who's running, and they approach that person.
And they and they charge for it. And the funny thing, I don't know, I didn't get there.
Okay.
Is that obviously they offer to people from both parties, but there is only one party that keeps on winning on ballot by mail. Always. There is only one party that keeps on winning on ballot by mail.
So are you against ballot by mail?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say the ballot by mail have to be only for people that is serving the country and is abroad. So while they're abroad serving, they cannot vote. And people that is proven with, proof that they cannot, move. Physically move. But this that I'm home and I'm going to order a ballot by mail, which is, or everybody in the retirement home. And listen, I can say it because this person is no longer here. After I ran in 22, I have somebody that called me and said, oh, you ran a fantastic campaign. And it's not, my campaigns are good. I don't know why I don't win. I know why I don't win. But,
it's okay. It's all right.
But I pour my heart on it, and I have a group of people that believe in what we're doing. Mm-hmm. But she said, you just didn't do the ballot by mail. And this is what you need to do. Next time you're wrong, mm-hmm. because I know how to do it. And she went ahead and explained how she does it. That she go to retirement homes and she knows everybody that works there, and she gives them the list when the ballots arrives, and that's how the whole thing goes.
That is tantamount to election interference, is it not?
Completely, and it's illegal. But what happened is, up until this year, at some point, it was the authority to prosecute this, that it was the state attorney, mm-hmm. was removed from the state attorney and was given to the district attorneys. So, of course, the local people, they're all from one party. They're not going to prosecute themselves. So that's why. Now, in this legislature, it was thrown back, given back to the state attorney. Okay? But still, it just needs somebody to, to prove it and go and put the complaint. And so I would get rid of early voting. I would get rid of ballot by mail. I would make just one national day of voting, and that's it. But also we need to inform people, because there was a very low turnout this election.
And that it was, again, we're touching on the same exact points because our conversation is what it is. Why do you think there is such a low voter turnout right here in Harris County and elsewhere throughout the country?
Well, this election especially was out of the calendar years, okay? And many people were caught by surprise. So the only way is spending millions of dollars in television informing people. That's the only way. And elections are costing more and more and more when we are.
They are in almost $100 million in some cases.
Yeah. So this is insanity. Where people are starving, when people are having, hard times putting food on their kitchen table, making ends meet. So this is going insane, and when is enough? When is enough? And the only way is just inform people. And the thing is, people don't read newspapers anymore.
They don't.
And social media is manipulated by the people. You know, we especially conservative, were punished. You know, they blocked us. They blocked us even from sending emails. You know, if we're sending mass emails through Gmail, they
Why do you think that
blocked us. You know, it was well published that Google and Facebook and all of them were shadow bounding, conservative. And
most
even
definitely
Gmail.
Facebook, I can definitely understand. There have been so many reports about Facebook
Even
and
Gmail.
how that is going on. And even Google, I've seen quite a few reports about Google.
And Gmail is owned by Google.
Yes.
So if your account is a Gmail account, they're blocking conservative. So you cannot send mass emails. They limit you, or they don't get delivered. So we have many ways of election interference, and people have no idea.
What do you think the solution should be to combat election interference and fraud?
Well, we should give. You know, I just came back from El Salvador on a social mission. It was a healthcare mission. Really? Yeah, on Monday, yesterday. And I've been in El Salvador 4 times in my life. I went the first time in the middle of the war, 1984. Then I went in 2002 when still was danger, but it was like we just went to the beach, kind of didn't know. I went in 2017 when the gangs were really controlling the country, but you have to know where you were. So I was with people that are local, and you just stay within an area. And now I went, and now because I went on this mission, I was with pastors, and they explained to me how the gangs work, and how they work by region, and how the crime was to be on because they just got the 13, 14-year-old kids and forced them to be part of the gang, and the way to be baptized, killing somebody. It's a terrible story. But these gangs were ruling the country, and there was no business that progressed into this system because they were charging you rent. I said, you have this business, you want to keep it working, you need to pay me this much. Here came President Bukele and prove that crimes can be controlled, but you have to be tough. You know, and what happened is when you're tough, people complain. You know, because how many complaints have been about Bukele? But he solved the problem. Let me tell you, for the first time in my life, I walked the streets of San Salvador. For the first time, we went to places that I would never imagine we went to help the people with our healthcare mission. So the only way, and this is the answer to your question, the only way to fight these things is to put heavy punishment on the people that gets caught in election fraud.
What kind of punishment are you recommending?
I'm being a federal issue, which election is, and in a long term in prison. Some people will think it twice. And having, the problem is we have judges, so many judges that don't respect the rule of law, respecting the rule of law and punishing these people.
Do we have any judges within the 18th district where you're going to be running, or even in Texas, that fall into this particular category?
Well, I'm going to run 38 now because of redistricting, but now who knows? But I'm going to run 38. The majority of judges here.
Really?
You know, and I don't want to name names, but this is the problem we have. You know, Democratic judges are not following the law. You know, so how many times, listen, when you see judges, that we have a president that, makes, those are ruling, decides to do something, and then a judge is ruling against the president. You know, the president have his place in the government, so does the Congress, so does the Senate, so does the judges. So that's, if a president, give a ruling and say, this is what we're going to do, because as a president, he has the right to do so. Why is a judge going against him? Like when they close the border, when they start deporting people, and we have all these judges going against the president, and you go like, okay, hold on a second. That person, and if you, judges are appointed.
This is true.
Okay? Now, the president is elected. And this president was elected not only by the majority of the electoral college, but the majority of the popular vote.
Yes.
So the people agrees with what he's doing. It is not up for a judge that was not elected, or even there are some judges that are elected, but who votes for those judges in their district, in their county, to go against somebody that was elected by millions of people?
Are you willing to work directly with the judge of the 38th within that district, hand in hand?
We need to work together in order to get advances in the system. But if we're working as separate entities, okay, it's not helping anybody.
Okay.
And I just have a daughter that graduated from law school, and I went to her sworn-in ceremony. And, you know, and they are sworn in that they're going to support and uphold the Constitution of the United States and the law of our land and our state. In her case was Florida. And then I see all these judges that in order to be judge, they have to be lawyers, and they are not following the law. So, you know, and that's when I said, we are a country of law. The moment we have no law, who are we? Venezuela? Cuba? Nicaragua?
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that there are too many attorneys in Congress or in law and politics, well, in politics, period? Are there too many attorneys and not enough, let's say, engineers?
Well, probably so. But the sad thing is the attorneys, these attorneys that, it just happened to me. I was in debates running in the 18th district, and, you know, we were a top 4, and I was in the top 4. The other 3 are lawyers, and they were agreeing to break the law. They were agreeing to go against the Riley Gates new law. You know, remember for the girl that got raped by an illegal immigrant?
Yes.
I said, oh, will you go against this? And these 3 lawyers that sworn in say, oh, yes. And I'm like, okay, what is happening to us? So probably we need to have a little bit of everything, because we all see things in a different way. Okay? And usually lawyers tend to be more liberal than conservative. That's a reality. You know, just looking by statistics.
No, it's okay. I got you.
But you know, when you have engineers and journalists and architects and business people, you know, we have a different view of things and different view to apply the law.
This is true.
And I think we need a little bit of everything. You know, people tend to think that I'm a lawyer. I'm not. I'm just a journalist. I'm a businesswoman. I work in healthcare for 20 years. So if somebody have a world-arounded experience in life, it's me. And also a survivor of domestic violence. And because of that, I have to go through the court system and everything. And that's when I learn all the many problems we have in the court system. So, and that's why I see things, and I'm a legal immigrant. So I also have a view about immigration because I experienced it in my own skin. And many people that are here, born and raised here, they see it this way, that way. They don't care about it. No, I have to go through the system of legal immigration. And so nobody knows better, because I have learned when I went through the process to go through my legal process. And then that's why I understand very well what's happening when it's legal, when it's not, and how damaging, because also of the experience in Venezuela, illegal immigration is.
Quick question on Venezuela. Do you think the Trump administration is going to put boots on the ground in Venezuela against Maduro?
It all looks like it.
You think so?
Yes, it looks like it. Have you seen what's happening right in front in the Caribbean of Venezuela?
Yes, I see what's happening. But there are also many people that believe that it's simply just for show.
Well, I don't think that America, that we are the best country of the world, should just do something for show, because people will not respect us. Okay. And a lot of that happened in the last administration. I know one of the holdbacks was because this is not war. This is an intervention. And war needs to be approved by Congress.
Sure.
So the Senate have to approve the intervention, and the Senate did like 2 weeks ago, I believe.
So I mean,
that was the
right
whole
now
battle.
we're looking at extrajudicial killings in international waters from the Trump administration on what these alleged drug boats. But these boats have never been boarded, and there hasn't been any evidence to support that whoever has been killed was trafficking narcotics. What do you say to that?
Well, we don't know. I believe the intelligence of this country is the best in the world.
Okay.
And they use intelligence for those attacks. So I believe they're not doing that without knowing what they're doing. Because
but what about due process?
Okay, the border is closed, so they cannot get the drugs through the border. Okay, that's what now they're going through international borders. So due process, what we're going to allow them to enter, the only way they can have due process is we're going to allow them to enter the country and then see. With the fentanyl, with all the drugs?
I'm just simply asking the questions because according to the reports, most of the narcotics that get actually trafficked into the United States come from Mexico and not Venezuela.
From Mexico after they make the whole trip.
Yes, I can see Venezuela being a transit hub.
It's a transit, and Cartel de los Soles, which is the regime, the people, Nicolás Maduro and his friends are part of it. It's being declared.
Are you saying that Nicolás Maduro, president of Venezuela, is a part of a cartel?
Of Cartel de los Soles and Tren de Aragua.
Okay.
And both have been declared, terrorists. So when you're dealing with terrorists in international waters, you're going to ask him for permission? These are, you have, one of the things right now was they were explaining to me how the gangs work in El Salvador. Made me, that's when you realize you cannot ask criminals for permission because they will kill you first.
Okay.
They will kill you first. So that's the reality. These people are fearless. These people, when these people join gangs and all of that, they start doing a lot of things very early on in their life. So there is no empathy at all. So if you're going to ask for permission, when they attack, it's because they know what they're doing, who is doing it, because they've been studying the whole situation. And this is the problem with communism. They run out of money. What is left? Crime. And that's what happened historically in communism. And what happened in Venezuela is, like I told you, first it was the Senate's rollback. And then it's a very dangerous situation.
Well, don't you feel like it is a slippery slope of an argument to execute missile strikes in international waters on one country, but what if that country did it back to the United States? Like the Trump administration launched these missile attacks.
Okay, so that confirms that there are traffickers.
No, we don't know that.
Because if we were to be, if the only way that they can strike back in the United States is if we have people in international waters trafficking something. And obviously it has not happening because we are not. Okay? They are the only ones doing it.
I don't know. I don't know if I could actually buy that. I would have to give you pushback on it. I do know the trafficking of firearms comes specifically from the United States into countries such as Haiti, which is where they have a lot of death and a lot of killing from various gangs throughout Haiti. I mean, that is trafficking.
Okay, that is trafficking. But is the government of the United States being part of the trafficking?
Well, we don't know that yet.
So that's the difference. Now, the problem here is we have because he's not a president, he has not won any elections recently.
Ooh.
The dictator, it's been proven that the dictator is part of Tren de Aragua and Cartel de los Soles and his closest friends.
I'm again giving pushback because looking at what's coming through in the press, there hasn't been any conclusive evidence that President Maduro has had any connection with any narcotics traffickers or things like that.
But they put charges on him.
Anybody can put charges on
They
anybody.
put but they put charges because they have evidence. You cannot just especially
and the larger question would be, who are we in this country to put charges on another country, as if we have a
because they're committing a
jurisdiction?
crime towards us. They're committing crimes towards. You have no idea. They're buying properties here. They're trafficking drugs into the United States. They're trafficking humans into the United States. They send Tren de Aragua into the United States, who is committing crimes into the United States. People don't understand that banana republic, the damage it has done to United States. That little banana republic.
This one country.
This little banana republic, but that banana republic has in their land Iran, Russia, China, Hezbollah, and Hamas. And I believe that's the biggest holdback for United States to do this strike very smartly.
I look at what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing, but I am looking at that and I'm saying, okay, this small country is causing that much havoc on a larger country. What does it say about the larger country?
Because that small country is not acting by itself. Again, I tell you, Iran, Russia, China, Hamas, and Hezbollah. Okay? And so that small country is backed up by powerful forces. And what does he say about United States? There have been administrations here that have been ignoring the problem, and by ignoring, you become part of it.
Well, okay, Iran is there, Russia, Hezbollah, they're there. Why not export that same violence over to those countries where those entities are from? So why not launch a missile attack on Russia or launch a missile attack?
Putin is not part of Cartel de los, and that goes to show you that United States knows and have evidence that Nicolas Maduro's and his friends are part of the cartel and Tren de Aragua. Why they're not doing against Putin? Because there is no evidence. Putin is part of Cartel de los Soles. There is no evidence Putin part of Tren de Aragua.
But wouldn't he be
even
guilty
China
by an association? I mean, evidently, if you're saying that these entities are in Venezuela, they're operating, they're
in Venezuela, but they can be there. Are they part of the crime? That's a different story. One thing is to say, well, I'm just providing military training for the military in Venezuela. You know, they have many reasons to say what they're there. We're just doing business, like the Chinese is extracting oil. They just signed a 20-year, again, another 20-year oil deal with Venezuela. So, you know, but they're there. And of course, once they're there, they will protect their business. They will protect their oil deal. They will protect, but that doesn't make them guilty of the crime. So that's why I say when they are acting against Nicolas Maduro,
why do you think
friends,
Americans use so much narcotics? What do you think is driving that? I mean, I've never seen a drug pusher beg someone to buy their product. They bought it on their own.
Yeah, it's, you know.
Why do you think that?
You know, my knowledge about people that use drugs is very limited. Because it's not part of my life.
I mean, it's such a huge epidemic here.
It's a huge epidemic. But if I tell you that I learned how pot smell in 2014, at my age you will laugh, but it's true. So it's not part of my life. I don't know what motivates them. I don't know, you know, it's really why America. And I always said, the best way to control that, it'll be to get the heads of the cartels inside the United States. I think that's the best way to deal with that.
Do you think the American government, or in this case the Trump administration, have the ability to go head to head with anyone's cartel?
Yes.
Okay, if you say
we're more powerful, yes, definitely. And I'm just telling you, it's the gangs in El Salvador, they were cartels because they were Not only it was crime, it was drugs, it was absolutely everything, and they were running the country.
Okay.
And Bukele came and fixed it.
And we've seen that with Pablo Escobar, where they got into politics, and we see that. But my question is, I still stand on that question because I remember the war on drugs during Reagan's era. I remember Dare to keep your children off drugs. I remember all of these programs.
Were they targeting?
Right, where they were
the heads of the problem.
Yes, they were. I remember that, and for really all of my life, we've lost. We've lost so much to the point where they're not even using cocaine like that, heroin like that anymore. They're moving more towards synthetics. You see what I'm saying? So we're losing.
Yeah,
what is happening?
You know, I think we need to target more the heads of the people that are inside the country.
Okay.
That runs the business. We can, you know, all the fight is outside United States. We can have a fight inside United States. And I'm telling you, again, the example is what Bukele
Are we
did with El
failing to
Salvador.
protect our borders here in the United States?
Not this time. You know, President Trump proved that you can control the border, that you can close the border. We have seen, you know, a drop in illegal immigration of over 90%. But people need to understand that is what was coming through the border with illegal immigration was not only illegal immigration, it was illegal immigration plus drugs, but human trafficking. All of that was coming with illegal immigration. Mm-hmm. And the cartel was running the show. And you know, I went to the border myself.
I believe it. I believe that the cartel were, you know.
I went to the border and to learn about it. I went like 3 times, and one trip it was specifically to learn about it. And I saw in 20 minutes in one point of entry, and we have a long border.
We do.
90 people in 20 minutes coming into the United States with 2 children. How do we know those children belong to them? That's one issue. Then we went to another point that it was like called the VIP, where there were color bracelets, like these hospital bracelets. They were thrown on the ground, and there were different colors. And there were some soldiers there, and we asked them, said, what does the color mean? The color mean the cartel. Okay. Each cartel have their own color.
What is the Mexican government doing to work with the United States?
Nothing. Have you seen what's happening in Mexico over the weekend?
Yes, the students, the Generation Zs are having protests, and they're questioning those protests right now. They're wondering who's funding those protests.
It's just the people, because the president of Mexico said there is nothing she could do about the cartel, and that she will not fight the cartel. So the people in Mexico, the young people, the Gen Z, and this has happening, and even in Venezuela, to the point that when the young people get frustrated and tired, these people, they have, if it was funded by somebody, they would have arms, they would have bricks, like we have seen here suddenly overnight, we see bricks. These people have none of that. These are innocent young people just tired.
And the same thing occurred in Bangladesh.
And in Venezuela happened too. How many times and how many young people were killed because they went? And it's exactly what's happening. And it's happened exactly after Claudia Sheinbaum said, I'm not fighting the cartel.
Why do you think she's not fighting?
Well, they said in Mexico, I want to say what they say in Mexico because I don't know, that she's being bought by the cartel.
Okay. Do you believe that?
And what happened is, well, there must be a reason why she's not doing so.
Okay.
Doing it. Because the reality of that, the cartel is not only a drug problem. Mm-hmm. It is the same thing as what happened in El Salvador. They are part of the crime. They're part of terrorizing people. You know, it's like crime is on the street, taking over and terrorizing people. And people cannot live, you know, have you ever been in Mexico? You cannot go freely out on the streets. Same thing, like I told you. For the first time, I went to El Salvador and I walked the streets. For me, this is my 4th trip.
Okay.
I never was able to do it before. Same thing in Mexico. I have gone to Mexico many times. You cannot walk the streets. And even if you go to Cancun or those, you stay in the hotel. And if anything, go from a taxi to specific restaurants and come back. You don't walk the streets in Mexico. So the problem is not only the drugs. When you talk about the cartel, it's organized crime as a whole.
Okay.
And it's not only the drugs.
Okay. What do you think, outside of conducting missile strikes in international waters, should the United States do?
Well, since these people have been declared part of terrorist groups, which United States have declared Cartel de los Soles, terrorist group, and so is Tren de Aragua, then they need to intervene because there is also proof that they didn't win the elections of July 28, 2024. And it's pretty much, and since it's affecting United States, and you have to understand that we're from Miami to Venezuela is what?
Probably about 100 miles.
Exactly. So it's right there. It's completely a threat to our nation.
Listening to some people that I talk to, they say, hey, the United States has not won a war since Grenada, and it barely won that. What makes us think that we can actually win a war with Venezuela?
Because this will not be a war. This will be just like when they took Noriega.
Okay.
Well, you remember that?
I do.
It was, what, 1990, 1991? Same thing. He was involved with drugs, with smuggling drugs into United States. And it is basically the same thing. A smaller country, much smaller than Venezuela, but still a small country. But they didn't have the backup that Venezuela has, which is the people that I just mentioned to you. Iran, China, Russia, and Hezbollah, and Hamas. So that's what makes the situation more difficult. But it's a threat to United States. They infiltrated people into the United States because the border was open. Sadly, the last administration opened the border and it was free for all.
What do you predict here that's going to happen in the next 6 months to a year in the district that you're running in after the elections?
Well, nothing is going to happen after the elections. The people we know is going to win. There is one person that is going to win no matter what.
And who's that person?
Menefee. He was the chosen from the beginning. And see, that's what we're seeing.
Why do you say that? What? How did you come? I love the way you said it. You said it so just right off. No thought was there. It's almost like you just knew. Why do you feel as if he was the chosen one?
Because everybody told me when I was campaigning, why are you even doing this? Still, I gave them a good scare.
Okay.
Everybody was counting I was going to be in the runoff, and that was scary for them. But it's not for Amanda. It's Menefee, and everybody said it, and everybody endorsed him. And there was a recent picture of Evan Mintz from the editorial group of Houston Chronicle, and so other important people.
How did you feel about that event with Houston Chronicle? Because before you answer that, we at VEDA World News made that prediction as well, that Menefee was going to win the 18th Congressional District. We put that out about last week sometime.
Okay. Based on what? What was
the money?
What?
Okay. We looked at the donor list.
Okay.
I'm looking at the donors. When they put the two front runners, Amanda and Menefee, we look at that and say, okay, who's doing the funding? Who has the most money? And then who are those people connected to?
Exactly. And that was way before the runoff.
So are you effectively saying that this is a sham?
It's, elections are not elections anymore.
That is sad to hear.
And it's true. And it's not only the United States. When we talk about Venezuela have been part of rigging elections of over 80 countries around the world. So it's like, and it's, there was something that I learned when I came to the United States and working in Telemundo, and I got to learn more about the Mexico politics. They call it el dedazo, the finger pointing thing.
Okay.
And it was, and for over 70 years, around 70 years, one party, I believe it was PRI, was the party that ruled the country for 70 years, and they call it el dedazo, and they knew whoever it was and there was somebody within the party, and I believe it usually was the sitting president that said, and it's going to be so and so the candidate, and that candidate won. And we're there in the United States, and there is somebody that gave el dedazo here, and you know who it is. So don't make me name names.
No, it's okay. We love names. We love names here. I mean, it is just astounding to see that it has come to this. Where, again, as a journalist, I look at Houston Chronicle. I don't throw shade towards any journalism or any journalist or anything like that. But when you indulge in questionable practices like that.
But that's the media today. The media is not the media anymore. And you and I are journalists. And I don't agree with it. And that's why I say I will never work in my field, because I will never be part of it. I will be part of the truth.
Yes.
And I would be really in the center, not being with any.
It was just very disheartening. I didn't like that.
I think it's disheartening from Amanda Edwards, because how many times is this girl is going to keep on running and being used and abused? You know?
Used and abused in how?
The party just kicks her. You know, it's like a placeholder, you know? You know, the
Really?
day of election, November 4th, my people were calling me and said, Amanda Edwards and Menifee were here. They were going from poll to poll together.
Together.
And
same car?
I don't know, same car, but they were at the same time. When have you in your lifetime
ever seen
a candidate? Because we're going against each other.
I would never.
We don't go together.
No.
No. We are our own. We're defending our ideas. We're defending. And then we're going together from every poll together. And that's when I said, this is being set.
This is rigged.
These two are going to be in the runoff. And just
that is so unfair to a candidate such as yourself, such as Valencia. And even though I may not agree with anything Mr. Isaiah says at all, it's unfair to him as well.
Well, you know, the funny thing, and I want to tell you something, money is not, because you're counting the money.
Yeah,
the important thing about the money is who is behind the money. That's
Correct.
The most important thing. But for example, Isaiah raised over $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I raised $61,000. And I came over him. You know, I won him. You know, It was Menifee, Amanda Edwards, Yolanda, me, and then Isaiah.
All right, I'm going to tell you.
So my $61,000 won over him.
I would tell you, just taking a point of professional privilege, I already knew Yolanda was not going to get it.
Oh, Yolanda was never going to get it, but they used her to push me down. And there was a poll that I have analysts looking, and you know, because you know me, I tell it like it is. I was always second in the polls. You remember that?
Yes.
I was always second in the polls. And then here there was somebody that participates, something Hansen, puts a so-called poll in her X that it was like she printed in her computer.
Wow.
Yeah, and she puts that poll, and that poll was the percentage of how the race ended. But what happened is it didn't have any traction, because anybody that is smart looked at the poll and said, who did this poll? There was no reliable source. Mm-hmm. And where is this coming from? So it didn't get traction. She published it in her X. So obviously, you know, they have, between all those candidates, especially the two top or the top one, they have the money to, and then here comes University of Houston and brings that supposed poll to life, now backed up by the University of Houston with the same percentage.
Understood. So somebody
pushing me fourth, but in a district that is 45% Latino, they only interview 14% Latinos and 47% blacks in the district. So if I have people analyzing, people that are experts, said this poll make no sense. But that was and who published it first? That same girl Hansen. And we were for.
Was it of the Defender? Was it the Defender? Who was?
The Defender put it at the last minute.
Okay.
I'm telling you the story how it started. So here comes this is her name Holly Hansen? So she published it first. And we're all looking at, well, she's the only one that published. She said Houston. And we went to University of Houston. It was not yet published by University of Houston. It took like 1 or 2 days to come up.
Because you have to get the numbers and the data.
To be published by University of Houston never put it on X or anything. And then that was the propaganda they used. Then when they pushed me forth with that poll, that was how they pushed the propaganda. But they needed to put Yolanda to further push me down. Okay? And the result of the election day was the same percentage of that poll.
Okay, so how can, and just out of curiosity, what would or could the Republican Party do to better navigate this election for the party?
Well, they put it back to Ken Paxton. We need to have more people watching, because I was able to have poll watchers at center count only on election day. We need to have poll watchers at center count every day of early voting. And what happened is, whoever is in control, remember, who was the one that said that it doesn't matter who votes, what it matters is who counts the votes?
Mm-hmm. This is true.
And this is what's happening here in Harris County.
Why are humans still counting votes when we have all of this technology that can allow people
They're
to
not
do
counting votes. It's all in technology, but they still bring the ballots to supposedly match the computers. I believe, besides going to 1 day voting, no early voting, just limiting completely
it should not
ballot
be
by
any
mail.
early voting. It should just be that 1 day.
That 1 day, but I said a ballot. It should be paper ballot.
Okay.
I'm completely against any technology to be used in elections.
You know what? I can understand that. I really can understand that. And what I don't understand is early voting. I don't get it. I don't understand why only that 1 day, why that's not sufficient.
And the only thing they have done is like shorten it down a little, but still it's a lot. So I don't understand, and I don't agree with it. Most countries around the world, they only have that 1 day.
Yes.
And we're the only ones that have all of this.
Do you agree or hold the position that employers should allow their employees to have that day off just for that 1 day to vote?
If they do it during weekdays, yes. But the best way to do it is do it on a Sunday or a Saturday. And if people are working on those days, they should have their day off. Make it a holiday. Make it a national holiday. And everybody can go to work.
At one time.
At one time. I would make it a national holiday, whatever
You know
that
what?
day
I
is.
think that is an excellent idea. It really, truly is.
And it'll be, and make it paper ballot. Paper.
Okay, now what if IDs have to have an ID, have to be able to read?
Have to have an ID, but a legal ID where you have proof you are a citizen, which it has here. Because one of the things we learned in my campaign, the last campaign, was that you can go get an ID at the public library, and that's an ID.
You can get an ID at a public library?
Yeah.
In this country?
Yeah, I don't know if this country, but Texas. And that you can use, they just require an ID, and here you have an ID. It only needs to be a legal Texas ID where you have proof that you're a citizen of the United States.
The ID should only come from the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Exactly. In order to be accepted.
A library card is not an acceptable form of an ID.
Well, but that's how we have come. You know, that's where we are nowadays. Any ID, give me your ID. It doesn't matter what ID it is. It needs to be a lawful ID from the Department.
This is the state of Texas or whatever state that you reside in.
And in order for you to get that ID, you need to prove you're a citizen. Because voting is a right we earn.
Here's a quick question. For those people who were incarcerated, who lost their ability to vote, do you support them getting their ability to vote back?
That only is if they're felons. I believe. It's not everybody. Only if they're felons. And I agree, after a certain period, they should have, like, they finish their sentence, and after a certain period, they should get it back.
If one goes to jail or prison and they get out, I'm going to take the position that as soon as they get out, soon as they get out, they should be able to participate.
They already paid their sentence.
Right.
You know, I have come across people when I go block walking, and it breaks my heart. You know, one time.
Those are millions of lost voters.
And it was a veteran. A veteran opened the door, and I gave him my peach. And he said, I will totally vote for you. However, I cannot vote because I'm a felon.
That's not right. I think we need to do some reform as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
It's the opportunity to vote in local and state and federal elections.
Well, they're paying taxes. You know, for me,
yes,
that's the most important thing.
Taxes.
If you pay taxes, you should vote.
Yes.
That would be like taxation without representation.
It truly is. That's
exactly.
what it is.
But many people do not pay taxes and they do vote. So actually, that's another issue.
You say it balances out. Well, let's close out with this. What do you want the viewers to know? That
I'm running for District 38.
Okay.
That is a vacant seat because Wesley Hunt is running for Senate.
Okay.
It's, due to redistricting, but I already filed for that. My fight for Houston and Harris County is still present. And I will fight hard because at the end of the day, I'm going to Congress, I'm going to pass laws, I'm going to push an agenda. That's the most, people don't know. It's like, we have no power as Congress people for local things. We can intervene, we can work together, but mainly is about, votes in Congress, writing bills that will benefit you. So I will keep my fight, and I still have a promise that I will solve the cancer cluster.
I'm going to say this. For Houston, what I run across, what's important to voters. Men's rights. Men want to see better changes in laws or adaptability of laws when it comes to child support and child custody. People want to be able to see themselves able to hold jobs who have maybe been to jail or served some kind of prison time. A lot of people really don't want to be pigeonholed because they have a misdemeanor on their record. Black men want to see more rights for them. They want to see somebody fight for them, someone who resonates with them. Because currently, right now, the talk of the town is that the Democrats do not resonate with black men.
They will not, and that's why they're losing the black vote. And that's why I have people campaigning for me in the Fifth Ward.
It is absolutely true.
And for me, at the end of the day, the issues of each district when we're in the city is the issues of all of us. It's the same thing. It's, we're still, the roads is a problem for all of us.
Yes.
The flooding is a problem for all of us. That's right. The crime is a problem for all of us. It doesn't matter what district you're in.
It is true.
Okay, and you might not, let me tell you, I have people in political positions that didn't know about the cancer cluster. And they're holding political positions. And when I mention it, they go like, huh.
And for those who do not know what the cancer cluster is, it is the Fifth Ward of Houston. Am I correct on that?
Fifth Ward, yeah.
Okay.
It's in the Fifth Ward. It's caused by Union Pacific, the train company. And what happens is if we don't think if you're in the west side and you think it doesn't affect you because it's the east side, we're in the same city.
Correct.
And your employees might live there. And, so don't think, and it's the same thing when people say, well, that's Venezuela or that's another country, it doesn't affect me. We're in the same world.
Correct.
Everything affects us.
Everything is connected.
And especially we're in the same city. So that's something that since I've been pushing forward, since I learned about it, it's something that is dear, dear to me to solve that problem because I care about people. And I care about my city, and I care about my county. This is
and
my
I can
city.
tell from the passion that's emanating from the seat that you're in right now. I really can tell that.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
They can find me in CarmenForCongress.com, and 4 is number 4, CarmenForCongress.com. I'm in Instagram, also at CarmenForCongress.com. I'm in X as CarmenForCongress.com. And just look up for me. Still we need volunteers. You want me in Congress, it doesn't matter where you are. You know, if you want me to be the person representing you in Congress, it doesn't matter if you are or not in my district. We can make the difference. You can volunteer, you can donate. We greatly appreciate it. We can make the difference because I understand the issues and I understand where this country is going for, and it's not looking pretty.
Well, you ladies and gentlemen heard it here first. My name is Michael Thurville, photojournalist and sociologist here at VEDA World News. You can reach this episode and more at vedacom.com with 2 M's. That is VEDACOMM.com. See you soon.